John Burke.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'd like to welcome you to the Door County Board of Supervisors meeting on Tuesday, January 23rd at 9 a.m. Would you please join me in rising for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Didn't work.
We have 16 present, 5 excused absences. Presentation of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Correspondence, you'll notice the unassigned fund balance. Town of Claybank's resolution supporting the campaign contributions, conducting a non-binding statewide referendum. In addition, the Town of Nassau resolution supporting a constitutional amendment to allow limits on campaign contributions and conducting a non-binding statewide referendum. Public comment. Anybody in the public care to make a comment this morning? No supervisor's response. Approval of the minutes of December 19th, 2017 regular meeting.
I move to approve. Second.
Changes, additions, deletions? Susan?
One little thing, it says
second.
21 county board members present, and it's 20.
Anything else? Pending business or updates? Moving right along, resolutions. 2018-01 in memorandum, James Jim Roberts. I would ask Steve Sons, District 18, to read that memorandum if you would, please.
Okay,
memoriam.
resolution number 2018-1 and memorandum James Roberts to the Door County Board of Supervisors, whereas James Jim Roberts passed away on January 8, 2018 in Vernon Hills, Illinois, and whereas Supervisor Roberts was first appointed to the Door County Board of Supervisors in May 1997, and then he was elected in April 1998 and April 2000 and served until February 2002. And whereas Supervisor Roberts represented District 18, consisting of the towns of Gibraltar Ward 1, Liberty Grove Ward 3, and Village of Ephraim. And whereas Supervisor Roberts served on several committees, including Board of Health, Community Programs Board, Economic Development, Finance, and Law Enforcement Committees, and whereas Supervisor Roberts served as chairman of the Ad Hoc Building Committee and Property Committee, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Supervisors assembled in regular session of this 23rd day of January 2018 extend their sincere sympathy to the family of Jim Roberts with the acknowledgement of his dedication to the citizens of the County of Door. Make a motion that we approve that resolution.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Dave, did you have a question?
No,
Okay.
no, Jill hadn't seen him second.
Resolution 2018-02, authorize application for an acceptance of financial assistance for George K. Penney County Park break wall repairs. Mr. Osted.
Yes, I'll make that motion.
Second.
I don't know, maybe we should have Wayne come forward to explain, or Ken can explain what's happening out at the park.
Sure, I can do a brief explanation, and Wayne's in the back, you can back me up, but we had an inspection done by AECom to George Penney, really the break wall, and it's in need of repair. In essence, there's some areas where some of the riprap got, I guess, pulled away, obviously from the ice in that area. We also need to make some repairs as far as adding additional breaker run along the sidewalk area. We are out for bid for that project, but Wayne did find a grant that would help, even though it's a smaller grant, it's a grant that would help offset some of the expenses. And we did get awarded that grant, and that's what this resolution is for, is to accept those dollars towards that project.
David?
Just a simple question, line 21, LHOL. I'm assuming it's a typo.
Yes.
Yes, we'll fix that.
Any other questions? Biz?
Well, I'm sure the board realizes that the DNR's portion and our matching portion of $2,637 is not going to fix it. But if you read the fiscal impact that Mark has got off to the side, the remaining money to fix it's going to come out of the boat launching fund. And that's really what that fund is for. You know, people that launch their boats, they at any of our launch facilities, that money goes into that account, and this is the appropriate place to take the money from, is out of the boat launching fund to repair that break wall at that launch site.
Anybody else? If not, we'll go to the voter board. That has passed 16 yes. Resolution 2018-03, approval of grant, gift, and/or donation to the Parks Department. Mr. Ossett.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Second.
Ken, you want to explain this one, or?
Sure,
where it comes
again, this
from?
one's pretty
What the
straight.
heck?
Sure, this one's pretty straightforward again. The Horseshoe Bay Golf Club has traditionally made a donation to the cave or to that park for activities related to the cave. And again, this is one of the donations that they made. Usually, Grant usually uses the funds for various surveying work that's done or studies that are done in the caves. But again, just given a dollar amount, as you can see, it's $1,649. We need to have that come through county board for acceptance. But again, the main idea is it's a donation from the club, and it goes towards research or activities related to the cave itself.
Any other questions? We'll go to the voter board. That has passed 16 yes, 0 no. Resolution 2018-04, non-commercial hangar site lease agreements, Carmody, Lampa, Smith Bauer, Crandall, Fall, Cummings, and Collins. Mr. Ossett.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
What this is just leases for the hangars out at the airport. They're for 10 years, so therefore it got to come before the county board. If anybody's got any questions on it, I guess we'll answer it, because this has been here many, many times before, just different people.
We'll go to the voter board. That has passed 16 yes, 0 no's. Thank you. Resolution 2018-05, in support of Cellcom's application for Public Service Commission of Wisconsin broadband expansion, grant fiscal year 2018 round 2 to expand wireless broadband infrastructure in Washington Island, Door County. Want to do this or what?
Do a motion first on it, or?
Yeah. I'll make the motion.
Second.
Okay, sure, I can do an explanation on this one. Mick is here from EdSite. He's the gentleman standing in the back, but what this is for is if you've been following, obviously the PSC, they go through, I guess, windows where they have grant applications for increasing broadband access throughout the community. In this case, actually, we've been working on this project for almost 2 years. One of the things we looked at originally was potentially running fiber to Washington Island, and that when we did the analysis with Insight, it came back a little bit too expensive as far as the cost benefit. So I guess one of the second approaches that was considered is to provide microwave communications. We have one that exists now as far as the county, but this would be Insight's installation of microwave communications to the island itself. As part of the process, if you're familiar with the PSC application, obviously if there's municipal, I guess, support related to it, it does help with the scoring. And obviously we're interested in increasing broadband access in that area. There is a benefit to the county in that it does improve, I guess, our radio communications, especially by, I guess, what I consider the harbor area. So both help the existing police, which is actually Washington Island Police, but obviously they tie into our communication system and also our Spillman package. And obviously it just improves our communication as far as our ES responsibilities on the island itself. So as part of the resolution, if you look at it, we're actually saying that we support the project and that the county would contribute $1,000 towards the project. The reason why we're, I guess, a participating partner financially is that it also helps in terms of support for the project itself if we have municipal contribution towards it. Again, it's a pretty minimal, I guess, contribution compared to the actual cost of the project, and Mick can outline that if you're interested. But again, it's more towards the relation that it helps the project in terms of scoring. And again, there is a benefit to the county in terms of our participation in the grant itself. So there's a benefit. So obviously the $1,000 is not being given away. It's actually a contribution towards improved services for the county as well. In terms of the $1,000, right now we would take that funding out of the IS, the professional services, which we should have enough funds, and if not, we'd actually come back to finance if we needed to, but right now we're expecting that should be covered under professional services. So I don't know if there's any other questions that I could ask, but hopefully that gives a good explanation of what that's about.
Any questions? Right.
Yes, this is a private industry that's looking at broadband, that's looking to service this municipality. Back in 2015, the county imposed a $1,000 fee for erecting towers. And so that didn't enhance our ability to get more broadband coverage in the county. So other municipalities have worked with various broadband companies without county assistance to get coverage in their municipality. So to me like this resolution is simply a veiled attempt to cover up that $1,000 fee.
Well, it's not really a fee, it's a contribution towards the project itself. And actually we have been involved in other broadband projects. For example, I know Liberty Grove, where actually they're looking at doing an application, and Door County Broadband would actually be the company, I guess, applying for the grant along with the town of Liberty Grove. So there's a potential that that might be a project in the future as well. So again, I guess the main idea is when you're working through the PSC, you're always looking for opportunities of showing how you're trying to improve the access, I guess, for broadband. It doesn't mean you're going to get free broadband. It just means that you're providing more opportunities for broadband access. So I don't know if that fully answers your question, but it's not really a fee related to it. I'm not sure about the fee about the towers, though.
Yeah, I'd like to correct the fee. We did propose a $1,000 application fee when we brought the new ordinance forward, but you guys didn't pass that. You left it at what it had been, which was a $500 fee for new towers. And then actually this past year in 2017, the county got certified as a broadband forward community by the state. So now for broadband related towers, it's only a $100 fee.
And again, that's part of the whole process. When we made that amendment, we're now considered a broadband forward county. So the whole idea is that we're trying to, in essence, line up everything that we have so that way we make broadband affordable and everything, so that way we apply through the PSC to get well in the grant applications for our support for expanding broadband.
Grant?
And to be perfectly clear,
Yep.
this isn't sort of a Katie bar the door situation. I've been fairly harsh in my review of requests for county support and view Washington Island as a unique situation. And this particular application is a unique situation because there's a direct tie or nexus between improving county services that were required on the island, and that's why, for what it's worth, why I think that there's a difference between this resolution support and some of the other ones that have come forward and requested support, and we've declined to offer that support, so.
I guess I would also mention, and Dave, maybe you want to mention the background of Cellcom and the partnership that the county has had with Cellcom over many, many years on the use of their towers and our equipment co-located on their towers at no charge and no fees, which has allowed the county to have their EMS and police services, sheriff services on that for many, many years. So it's not just a one-off with Cellcom. We've had a long-standing relationship with them of providing towers and services.
And the dark fiber backbone that basically runs the length of the county wouldn't have come into being without our
Without
partnership with Cellcom, so.
Anybody else? If not, we'll go to the voter board. That has passed 16 yes, 0 no. Thank you. Approval of gift, grant, and/or donation, water quality notice of discharge, oil and water. Mr. Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution 2018-6. It, line 19 says, a notice of discharge grant is a competitive financial award to protect water quality. The grant funds will be used to cost share structural best management practices to control polluted runoff. Then on 30 and 31, now therefore be it resolved that the Door County Board of Supervisors does hereby approve the acceptance of the water quality notice of discharge grant totaling $78,161.
Is there a second?
Second.
If there were any questions more than what's on here, Aaron Hansen from Soil and Water is back there and could comment more in depth on it.
Any questions? Susan?
I have a clarification, and I feel like I ought to know the answer to this, but I don't remember. When you apply for a grant like this for 78,000 specific numbers, is it because the project that you're working with the landowner on is that amount, or is that amount big enough to cover whatever project the landowner will construct? Am I making sense in my question?
So the way I understand your question is that you're asking how we identify the amount of grant funding that we apply for.
Right, and could this be more, for example, than you actually use?
So the way that we identify the cost is based on the practices that need to be installed at the site to correct the water quality issue. And so it's not the funding for the full cost of installation because we're limited by the % of cost share that we can provide to a landowner. So the costs are derived from what needs to be installed and the amount of cost share that we can provide.
Anybody else? If not, Linda?
Will there be other projects then that the Soil and Water might identify for other landowners throughout Door County?
Yes. So there's actually 2 resolutions before you today, and the second will be a different source of funding for additional projects as well. So this is our standard way of assisting landowners with achieving compliance with our ordinance. And as we identify sites and find cost share, we apply for grants. And when we receive the notice that our grant was selected, we come before you and ask for the grant funds to be accepted. So yes, there are other sites, and the way that we've broken it out is just based on the source of funding that we're receiving from the Department of Natural Resources.
So if a landowner were interested in getting a notice of NOD or whatever it was called, they could come to Soil and Water, say, can you help us with this and help us apply for a grant? Or
Yes, we're always willing to work with landowners to identify sources of grant funds that apply to their particular site. And of course, with state grants, there's certain criteria that you have to meet in order to be eligible for those funds. But we certainly do work with landowners who come to us and ask for assistance in finding sources of cost share.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions? That will go to the voter board, please. That has passed 16 yes, 0 no. Thank you. Resolution 2018-07, approval of gift, grant, and/or donation, water quality targeted runoff management program, soil and water. Mr. Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution 2018-07.
I'll second.
These are two grants, lines 16 to 19. Soil and Water has been awarded two small-scale water quality targeted runoff management program grants through the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources for the Silver Creek Headwaters Project in the amount of $102,374, and for the Fabry Creek Headwaters Project in the amount of $144,872. In line 24, whereas targeted runoff, where was it here? Yeah, targeted runoff management grant is a competitive financial award to protect water quality. Grant funds will be used to cost share structural best management practices to control polluted runoff and cost share design assistance. I did note, it says, now therefore be it resolved that the Door County Board of Supervisors does hereby approve the acceptance of the water quality targeted runoff management program grants totaling $247,246. That's line 36, 35, 36, and 37. And I did find on line 31, it says, whereas this water quality grants, I think that this should be these water quality trademark grants, brings the total. Just to show that I do read it, as Dan is so fond of saying.
Good.
Because there are two separate grants.
Any questions? That will go to the voter board. (16) yes, 0 no. Thank you. Moving to ordinances. Report amendment to the zoning map of Forestville, Steve Jorns. Mr. Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion that we accept the report to the Door County Board of Supervisors for amendment to the zoning map of Forestville. I'll read Steve Jorns petitions for an amendment to the detailed zoning map of the town of Forestville to rezone 4.34 acre lot and a 2.53 acre lot containing a building which previously housed the Maplewappy Meat Market from general ag to mixed commercial. Excuse me. The explanation is the rezoning request is being sought because the building is being used for retail and as a community commercial kitchen, neither of which can be authorized under general ag zoning district.
Second.
Questions or other comments? I have a question. So it's currently being used on a commercial basis?
I believe so. Mariah's here, but I believe it's being used for that, and it was found out, and so they needed to apply for the rezoning.
We've been
correct?
working with the owner for about 2 years, trying to bring them into compliance.
Okay.
I do want to add that the Resource Planning Committee recommendation is for a modified petition to only rezone the one lot that's being used right now, because no plan was brought forth as to how they wanted to use the larger second vacant lot.
Right.
Okay. What stands out to me is when I look at the map, it looks like you just got this one little parcel up here that's way out of the mixed commercial area. So is that an issue? Is that a problem?
It's not consistent with the plan, either county, I guess actually the town doesn't have its own town standalone plan. I think the feeling on the staff part and the resource planning committee as well was that what used to be there, the farm market was there before zoning was there, and this would allow them to expand a little bit. They're offering a community commercial kitchen to people that used to use the one in Algoma that closed. So that's one of the things that has expanded since zoning came into place in Forestville, and so I think the resource planning committee felt that was a good thing for them to be able to offer, which they couldn't do under the existing zoning. It is kind of creating a little island, but
Okay.
I think it's to accommodate a use that was there historically and is now evolving.
Okay, thank you. John?
As I look at this, Mariah, the survey doesn't extend to the middle of the road. On
They
this
don't,
map.
they don't own to the middle of the road.
They don't.
No.
So who owns that property between this piece we're looking at and the road?
If you look, and I didn't bring a blow up, I might have one in the file right here, but it looks like what would have been the original 40 still owns that strip where the highway easement would be. It's not uncommon to see things like that around the county. Some lots are described to the edge of the highway right of way, some are described to the middle, and it can be a complete mishmash even in the same stretch of highway.
So as I look at this, it looks like it's landlocked.
No, because they border the highway easement. If you look at the actual survey, you can see that the easterly line goes up to the edge of State Trunk Highway 42. There's a 100-foot wide easement right there that the
So they
state
have
has.
the easement and it's not the property. What we're looking at, the property itself is what we see, and there's an easement to the property.
Well, there's the state has the highway easement for that stretch, and they front on the highway easement, so they have the right to use that to access the highway because they border the highway.
Would it be a reasonable presumption to say that some surveyors don't take into consideration that lots actually go to the center of roads and a survey to the right of way, and that's what happened here?
That's possible, because since this was part of a 40, at some point in time, it would have been described as a quarter, and who knows how that was interpreted historically, but, yeah. Even in areas when there are a series of small lots, it's not uncommon for some of them to be described to the middle of the road and some just to be described to the edge of the road.
Bayshore Drive is a great example.
Yep.
Steve?
How does Forestville feel about this?
That was one of the reasons that the Resource Planning Committee decided to go along with a modified amendment. The town did not support rezoning the vacant parcel.
Thank you.
Anyone else? We can do the report by voice vote, so all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Ordinance 2018-01, amendment to the zoning map of Forestville. Steve Jorns. Mr. Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Now I'll make a motion to adopt the amendatory zoning ordinance 2018-1 for Mr. Jones's property there.
Second.
Questions? David?
I guess I'd ask of Roy what Forestall's position was on the property if they weren't recommending change.
Yes, thank you. The building that's there was used as a farmer's market, I believe, since the early 2000s, and so therefore it was grandfathered in before zoning came into the township. And the reason why the township is recommending only this 2.5 acres to be rezoned, is that the other portion is really in a wetland, and there was no plans to say what they were going to do with that. So we're recommending just doing what is on the ordinance right now.
Anyone else? If not, we'll go to the voter board for the ordinance. That has passed 16 yes, 0 no's. you. Item 12, special report has been delayed until next month.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
New business? None. Oral committee reports from anyone? Review committee minutes? Review vouchers, claims, and bills? Any questions on those? Announcements. The next regular county board meeting will be February 27th at 10 a.m. Meeting per diem code 123. Mr. Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If there's no further business to be transacted, I'd like to make a motion, we adjourn.
Good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, everyone.
9:31? Dave, was there